What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of HVTW After Hours. I'm your boy Joel Jacob. You can follow me on Twitter at JoelKJacob _. And we usually do HVTW After Hours after some of these games to give a quick reaction to things. But I wanted to do things differently today because I wanted to make a video real quick on Zach Lavine because so much is going on right now with this whole situation, and we see in so many reports, specifically some linking him to Miami. So I don't know how much Heat fans really want him or don't want him. I know there's a crowd that probably is on either side, but I wanted to give my opinion here on camera to you guys. So here I go. So let me say this. I always wanted Miami to try to get a third star, but I don't. I've been skeptical as to who that third star could be. If it's a Damian Lillard, you go after him. However, Zach Lavine, yeah, this isn't slander towards Zach Lavine, but I'm just not that high on him, and I don't think the Miami Heat are too. Which is why, if you are a pro Zach Lavine person, I hate to say this, but this video right here, right now, probably isn't something that you want to watch because if I'm being real with y'all, I don't really want Zach Lavine. And it's not because I don't think he's a great player or anything. It's because I just don't think the Heat would do it, and I don't blame them for not doing it either. Here's the thing y'all gotta understand right now. The Heat are 8-4, and right now they're just in a good position with this team. I just don't think they want to just throw away their assets like that for a guy like Zach Lavine when they're not really in an urgent need right now to really pursue a guy like him. You know, like I just don't think right now when you look at this squad, like I don't think Pat is saying like, okay, you know what, Zach Lavine is available, throw whatever you can at the Bulls so that you can get him. And the thing is like, what would you give up for Zach Lavine? Because, I don't know if you guys saw the tweet from Ira Winderman today where he talks about what the Athletic suggested the Heat could trade, but I wouldn't do that either. And he rejected it too, Ira. The tweet was suggesting that the Heat would give up Kyle Lowry, who is it? Jaime Jaquez. You give up Nikola Jovic and Orlando Robinson and give up a first round pick. Now I'll say this. By the way, please, y'all, like I've been dealing with a sore throat, so don't mind my voice if I sound a little off in this video. I would not give up Jaime. Okay, there's no way you watch the way how this guy has played and you just throw him in a deal for Zach Lavine. I'm not doing that. Kyle Lowry, I probably would. Um, get just if it's for a Zach Lavine, why not? I would part Kyle for Zach. I would. You know what? I would. I honestly don't want to part with Jovic, but the thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat were to trade him in the Zach Lavine deal because we're in a situation with him right now where I just don't understand what the Heat want to do with him. Like he had a great World Cup performance and everything, but for some reason the Heat don't want to play him. And if they're still not interested in playing him now, I mean, you got to think they're gonna put him in a trade package, especially for a guy like Zach Lavine. So there's that. Like I said, I wouldn't trade Jaime. Orlando isn't doing much, and honestly, our center rotation's looking pretty interesting right now because you have Bam as our, starting center, and it looks like Kevin Love is taking on that role of being our backup while having a guy like Thomas Bryant being our third stringer. Obviously the anticipation was that Bam would be our starter, Thomas Bryant would be our backup, and then Orlando would be our third stringer. But now he's not even that. So if they want to throw him in the deal and continue with this center rotation of Bam, Love, and Bryant, I mean, by all means, do what y'all got to do. So there's that. So if you want to throw Orlando in the deal, that's fine. First round pick, I mean, who cares? So yeah, that aside from Jaime, I'm not too against that trade, but like I said, I'm not giving up Jaime whatsoever, and I cannot stress that enough. With all of that being said, I don't know if the Heat are even interested in trading for him because the Heat are 8-4 right now. I think they look at how the squad is played, especially without Tyler, and they're pleased with it. Okay, they like what they see, and I don't blame them for feeling that way. And one thing I will say is this. I don't want to sound like a prisoner of the moment. So what I will say is, and God forbid, okay, let me knock on wood before I say this. God forbid, okay, if the Heat, we don't know when Zach Lavine will be traded, whether if it's tomorrow or at the trade deadline. But let's say he won't get traded until the deadline. If things just all of a sudden start falling apart for the Heat, and y'all saw me knock on the wood and everything. If something just doesn't work out for the Heat and they're in the same situation that they were in, what was it, last year before the deadline, where they were continuing to fight to just stay out of the play-in, then you can make an argument that they could probably go and get a Zach Lavine. But we're not in that scenario right now. We're not in a situation where we're fighting to get out of that place. And I'm not saying that we will be in that scenario or that we won't, okay? Because we have a long season ahead of us. Things can get unpredictable. However, right now things just look good, and it just doesn't make sense to just throw away assets because a guy like Zach Lavine is available. And I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't. Sometimes I question the dude's mentality because I don't know if you guys saw one of the reports that came out, but apparently they said that he couldn't get over the fact that Billy Donovan benched him in a game literally well over a year ago. I forgot against who, but it's such a weird thought to have in your head. Like if it was a playoff game or what was it, a finals game, I would have understood. But you're getting triggered over getting benched in a regular season game. Like I don't understand it, and it, like I said, it makes me want to question the mentality of the player in that we're looking at right now. And one thing that I just want to say before we close this out, even if let's see, you know, like we want a guy like a Zach Lavine, we do need to ask one question. Do the Heat make a move for a guy that is a clutch client? Because we have to look at the fact that Miami doesn't exactly have a good history with clutch clients, because it's been almost 10 years since LeBron left, and we have not seen the Heat sign or trade for a single clutch player in that time span since then. It's crazy to think about, but in the almost 10 years since LeBron has left, not a single player has been signed on this team or traded to the Heat that happens to be represented by clutch. So I don't know if the Heat would even take an exception with a guy like a Zach Lavine. All right. And one thing I will say is that, if the Heat were to, I mean, obviously, I think the Heat would take an exception with a star player if they are represented by clutch, because at the end of the day, you do have to put the petty differences aside if you're about to land a guy that could help you win a championship, probably. But Zach Lavine, you don't see that with. Zach Lavine, if you want to put him in the star category, that's fine, but he's not a superstar. I'm not trading Tyler for him. I'm not trading Duncan for him. And like I said, I'm not even trading Jaime for him. Okay. If you want to throw Kyle in the deal, finally part with him, do what you got to do. Orlando and Jovic, two guys who aren't even playing, go ahead and send them as well. And maybe a first round pick. But I'm not trying to overspend right now. And I don't think the Heat are trying to either. With that all being said, I think the team to look at right now to land him is maybe a team like the Sixers, perhaps. And I know the Lakers might be interested in it too. We'll see what they end up pulling off themselves. But for the Heat, I mean, like I said earlier in this video, if you're a Zach Lavine's Miami fan, I'm sorry that I have not said a single thing in this video that might please you regarding a potential move like this. But I just don't see it happening. This could maybe change down the road come the trade deadline if, like I said, and God forbid it, I'll knock on wood one more time. God forbid it, but if the Heat struggle again like they did last year, maybe you can flirt with the idea that the Heat would try to pursue him, but we're not in that scenario right now. And we don't know when a potential Zach Lavine trade would take place, anyways. So we'll just watch it all play out. But as of right now, where I stand with it, I would not bet any money whatsoever that Zach Lavine would be wearing a Miami Heat uniform. So take that as you will. And yeah. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to HVTW After Hours. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on all platforms at HVTW Podcast. And make sure to follow me too, of course, at Joel K. Jacob _. And until next time, y'all, we out.